I'm Ryan Green.
And I'm Zach Taylor, and this is
Commander Social.
Oh, yeah. And for folks that are watching this on video, because we are recording it for video, you may recognize the person on your screen. We've got Max Crandell visiting us. Thank you so much for coming, Max.
Hey, Zach and Ryan, thank you so much for having me on today's show. I'm super pumped to talk about the topic of the day.
Indeed, and that is going to be about creating a league, via webcam. And also we're going to talk about like the boxing league that's going on in the community right now.
Yep.
Sweet.
So, Max, if there is somehow, some way, some folks out there in audience land that don't know who you are, tell them what you're about and where they can find you and your show and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Max. I am from Commander Central, not Social, Commander Central. Look at the t-shirt.
Nice.
Our shows come out every Monday and the occasional Thursday, and you can hear me talk EDH with my co-hosts Dana and Chris, along with, you can contact me on Twitter at CMDR Central _Max and our various Discords and chat rooms that I have been a part of due to the EDH community.
Well said. Well said. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. Seriously, like I've been pumped, looking forward to this all week, and hopefully the folks out there are going to enjoy it.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited.
All right. Okay. So we want to thank everyone out there in audience land. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are checking this out via audio, right? Thank you for that. Although if you're checking it out via video, there's something fun that you can see on your boy Ryan here.
It's worth your time. It's worth your time.
Yes.
But
so all right. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody out there. And Zach, do you want to hit up our patrons?
Yeah, no, special thanks goes out to our patrons. Thank you for the support that you give us, and not just monetarily. So the support that we get when you show up, when we stream, and to cheer us on when we talk to you in Slack. All these things that you hit us up on Twitter, like it's the best, and really we want to thank you for that. And Ryan, who's our patron of the week?
All right. Well, I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced. It could be Angel Rivera or it could be Angel Rivera. So the third. So thank you. I'm going to go with Angel. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for becoming a patron. Your support means the world to us. And we're going to give you a video shout out so you can see how excited I really am. So thank you so much. And come over to our Slack and meet everybody. It's really a fun time.
Oh, for sure.
And actually, by the end of this episode, people might find there's a good reason to be a patron. So, yeah.
Spicy.
And Zach, we've got a contest this month, right?
Yep. This month's contest is just chat into the room for contests. The one card that you play that make people say, "Wait, what's that do?" and then pick it up and read it. So our patrons can win a $20 gift card to Mothership. So if you're looking for
shout out to the Mothership,
right? Where can I find you on Twitter, Ryan?
All right. Well, individually on Twitter, I'm at Green Geek.
And I'm at Z4CK38. And together we're at Commander Social. And where are you again, Max?
I'm at CMDR Central _Max, or you can hit up the show at CMDR Central.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And you guys post awesome stuff all the time. And Max actually is in our Slack as well. And posts stuff all the time. And we had a fun little exchange about a Gravity Falls video earlier today.
Yes, it was the best. It totally turned my day around, so I was super happy to see that.
All right. Okay. So I guess let's start with Max. Do you have anything going on in your personal life you want to?
What about that Twitter contest?
Oh gosh, did I skip the Twitter contest? All right. Well, it's the same thing. Show us the card that everybody always picks up and reads and says, "Wait, what's that do?" And then you could win a $10 gift card to the Mothership, right? So definitely, and that's the post is already out there on Twitter, right, Zach?
Yes, it is.
All right, yeah. So definitely hit that up. It's worth your time, and I'm just hoping to find like some fun new tech cards for my decks, right?
Same.
Like, we can get some benefit from this contest too. That's all I'm saying.
That's secretly what these contests are about. It's just to help you guys, not
you're not wrong.
Money to
you're not wrong.
That's true. So, Max, has anything been going on cool in your life?
COVID is still a thing, so I'm
That's
landlocked
cool.
in my apartment. But no, just chilling, playing a lot of video games and virtual EDH because that's all I can do at this time.
Hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with a lot of video games in virtual EDH.
No, there is
right?
not. I will do it all day, every day if I could.
So, Zach, what's been going on with you, man?
Man, I finally finished Dune. I think that took about like 2-ish weeks, maybe. I don't know. It was It was a dense read. It's a pretty interesting book. Like, it's not really about science fiction as much as it's about like political intrigue. Like, yeah, there's some like war stuff in it, but it's like, yeah, then that war happened, and then they're talking about like what happened, like moving on through the political landscape. And I started reading the second book, and it's pretty sweet. Also, last week was it this week or was it last week that my video with John Dunning came out for Safety Not Guaranteed?
I think that was last week. And then you did something else this week, though.
Oh, I streamed on EDH Recast on the BEDH games. Yep, we're definitely at Dana 2, Zack 0.
Ooh, Dana pulled out some wins.
Man, and the final win, like I don't want to spoil it for people, but there was a nice it was interesting. We'll say that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was pretty good.
I almost got another Cad Bloom Hour of Torment of Hailfire off, but somebody destroyed my my Cad Bloom like right after I cast it. And I was like, crud.
Oh, they knew it. They knew what to watch for.
They saw that one game. So Ryan, what's been going on in your life?
All right, well, it's time for your hashtag MTG Dad moment. And this past weekend, I got my whole family into the minivan, and we drove down to the hospital, and we sat in our car for about 2 hours, and we all got flu shots. And we did a drive-through flu shot thing.
How'd that 2 hours go? Was that go by real fast or real slow? Because time's a construct.
Yeah, you know what? It was different. I will say that much. Like, we're in the car, and the kids are getting kind of restless, and so we decide, well, we're in a parking lot. Like, let's let them like run around the back seat, like not be strapped into the car seats. And I'm not sure that was a good idea, honestly. But it was it was novel, right? Because they're like, oh, we're in the car and we're playing, and we tried to entertain them with music and games and singing and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty rough. But I will say that both of my children were champs on this, right? Like,
nice. Like
my son, like the lady came over and like gave him the shot, and his eyes watered a little bit, but he didn't cry out. Nice. He didn't scream. And then she came around to the other side, and I was in the back. My wife was driving, and my daughter was in the way back, and I was kind of there to like restrain her a little bit, hold her hands down, make it easier for the folks, volunteering their time and being heroes, right? Like getting everybody well, right? Like this is an important thing, and because we're not really leaving the quarantine all that much, but for this we decided it was a good idea. And so the nurse gets back there, and my daughter's like, "Daddy's gonna go first."
You got
threw you right under the bus.
Yeah, she did, and I was like, "Yeah, of course. Is it okay if I go first?" Because like I didn't know if she had like, because I think maybe the dosage is different for smaller kids. And she's like, "Yeah, that's no problem." And I got there, and it was fine. And then my daughter was, she was, kind of like clenched up, and it was hard. But then she got the shot, and she's like, "Hey, that didn't even really hurt very much. Like it's already over." And then like the whole rest of the day, she was like, "I love my flu shot." Like she was excited about it. It was kind of weird. Like, like we did a phone call with, my in-laws, their grandparents, and she was telling them all about it. How she's like, "Yeah, and it didn't even really hurt. And I loved going." And like, it was like the excitement of traveling in the car and being like away from the house outweighed getting a shot. And that is something I never thought I would see. Right? Like it was really good. So I'm glad we did it, and I got a good story out of it, and I did get thrown under the bus. You're right.
Yeah. That's
all right. One. So it's time to thank Mike Condon,
gentleman, a scholar, and a scholar and a gentleman.
Nice dramatic pause, Zach.
Thank you.
Very well done. We want to thank Mike for being our silent partner, as well as our awesome audio engineer. And this week, something showed up in the mail, and I was really surprised by it. I didn't know it was coming, but it was from Mike, and it was a deluxe bingo set from Pottery Barn. And this thing's not cheap. It's like real nice, right? So I think I see some games of bingo in family game night futures.
Can I be real here?
Yeah.
What's bingo? Is that the yard? Is that the yard throwing one?
It's the dog that you sing about.
Yeah.
bingo.
What's a bingo? What's a set of those?
it's a litter, technically.
I'm so confused.
It's the metal cage that has all like the ping pong balls in it with the different numbers on it, and they like spin it around.
Oh, yeah.
B46, and you stamp the card.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was like, when you put the stake down in the ground and you throw like horseshoes at it or whatever and try to catch it. What's that called?
Horseshoes?
Horseshoes, yeah.
Man.
This is why we're inside people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't go outside.
Oh man, the laughter is so free flowing here when it's like all of our friends. Like this
Just
is so
exactly.
fun. I'm so glad. All right. We want to shout out our local game store. They have an online website. It's store.mothershipatx.com, and you can use some affiliate code SOCIALSHIP in all capitals for free shipping on orders of $50 or more, and Social10 for 10% off in-stock MTG singles. And I availed myself of this today. I ordered some singles for an Ashaya, the soul of soul of the world, the new one.
Yeah, the new everything taps for mana thing.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I got some stuff for that deck, and it's just super convenient, and I use it, and I get to use the affiliate codes too, which is pretty nice.
That's awesome. I must say, when I was down visiting you guys earlier in the year before quarantine, I got to go to the Mothership. Great local game store. I can't wait to eventually go back to play some more games with everybody in your community.
Man, so
well said.
What's that? What's the card? Is the one that you're playing? Is that the one that like makes everything creatures into forests or whatever?
Yeah, that's correct. You know what? I'll read it out here if you can vamp for just a minute.
Yeah. So my story here is I had that out, and then I played some huge fatty, and I was like, yeah. And then someone wastelanded it, and I was like,
oh,
how
did that really happen?
Yes.
Oh no! Using the power against you, rough.
Yeah, I want to say it was Matt Morgan.
That sounds like Matt.
Yeah,
it was either Matt or Joey. Maybe it was Dana.
one of the three for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so Ashaya, Soul of the Wild, is 3 green for a star legendary creature elemental, and Ashaya, Soul of the Wild's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, and non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. So that is how you were able to get your Ashaya wastelanded.
Yeah. I was just like, what happened? And like, yeah, it's a land now. I was like, oh, okay.
But remember, they can't be rifted.
Exactly right.
Nice.
And it's fun little times with things like Oblivion Stone and Perilous Vault. One-sided board wipes.
Yes.
So you get your own cyclonic rifts, right?
Nice.
And we should also remind folks that there's a link to the Discord for Mothership. We didn't finish it out. The business. There's a link to the this Mothership Discord in the show notes where you can go play Thursday night virtual EDH, and it's pretty sweet. So just definitely check it out. I know some of our listeners have, and they've said good things to me. So all right. I think that it's time for the main topic. Are you guys feeling ready?
I'm ready, man.
I'm ready.
Wait a second. I don't see a disclaimer here. Is that correct?
There must be some mistake. I don't know.
Yeah,
should we make one up on the fly?
Yes.
Disclaimer: there is no disclaimer this episode.
Right.
All right. So this topic was inspired by Brian David Marshall or BDM. He's at Top 8 Games on Twitter, and there's an article in the show notes also that Sheldon wrote, so it's about the boxing league. And Max, do you want to talk about the boxing league a little bit? Because like I know you're like super kind of into it, and like I think you were the one that sent me the article actually. In fact,
yeah. So a little bit about it is you buy a booster box of product, whether it's a standard set or a core set. You're not supposed to use like your master sets, and then you build an EDH deck out of that entire box, and then you play games with it. And then I think every week you can add X amount of packs from a different set to your card pool to redo your deck, maybe make it with a different commander. And then once you use, say, my 6 packs were from Core 21, I cannot use any more Core 21 cards throughout the league, however long that decides to go on for.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's really cool because like in the article, like they go into like the strategy of like which set they were gonna pick, right? And I thought that was super interesting.
Was it you, Max, that we were talking about it? Like we were like, what's a boxing league, man?
We were.
And like somebody on your Slack like told us, right?
Yes.
Because I thought it had something to do with Canadian Boxing Day or something. Like straight up, no, I'm not even joking. I was like, what is this?
Or you were like, in this corner, weighing in at such and such, it's Zachary Taylor, and then you like pump your boxing gloves up in the air. Is that what it was?
Yeah, like that's kind of what I thought. And I was like, huh, okay, maybe I'd be down for that.
Oh, wow.
Oh no, not at all. I hard
No.
pass on that one. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds really cool. And actually, just one of the other things is there's a podcast out there. You've probably heard of it. It's called Limited Resources. It's hosted by Marshall Sutcliffe, and he actually had BDM on an episode, and there's a link to it here in the show notes as well. And I listened to that episode, and I thought, man, this is really cool. And they talked about the boxing league, and I think BDM actually even got like Marshall to like agree to do it, right?
Nice.
So,
Nice.
but like the idea and the concept of this like community thing that happened like really struck a chord with me, right? So I just thought, like, how cool is it that, you know, we as like followers of content creators can like see what they're doing, and the games are streamed, and it's like this whole new set of, you know, it's like a whole new metagame that we can talk about and think about. And I just thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, so I think maybe the next thing that we're going to talk about here is like, what exactly is like a league? So there's a lot of different ways to think about leagues, and they've been around forever, right? And actually, like if you play
like
MTGO,
1,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Exactly. All right, so what exactly is a league? Max, you had some thoughts here that you wrote down in the show notes that I thought were really awesome. So let's have you tell the folks at home if they've never like played in a league, because we're not just talking about like a boxing league. A league could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I think when I think of leagues for EDH, I think about a way for a group of players to be able to play EDH without worrying about power level. So I've heard of leagues where you can tailor it to be more competitive, or you can tailor it to be more casual. In my experience, I've actually done a pre-con league a few times at our LGS here in Eau Claire, where we all buy a pre-con. The first week you play the pre-con out of the box, and then every week you get $1 allowance to upgrade your deck. And back in the day, we used to keep a track on pencil and paper versus spreadsheets. What I think is really cool is that you can make this competitive or casual to the point of using like a point system. So like achievements, essentially. You know, you got first blood in the game, you get a point. You infinite comboed the pot out, you lose 2 points overall. And then you keep track of your points weekend and every week. And then at the end of X amount of weeks, the top 4 with the most points play off for the prize or whatever you guys decide to do for the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the power level point here was really awesome, right?
Yeah.
Because that is one of the biggest problems that we have. Like when we sit down to a game, it's like, well, what's your 7? And to me, that's a 5. And it gets really hard. But if you're playing with all pre-cons, there's a pretty nice even power level there. Mm-hmm. And you can ratchet that all the way up, but like everybody knows what to expect. And, you know, like you said, you could be tracking these things, and you can have achievement point things in place that kind of like encourage behaviors or discourage other behaviors. And actually in a little bit, Zach and I are going to talk about, like, we've actually done a bunch of those pre-con leagues with our friends here. Yep. And we've learned a lot doing it. So
yes.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. But I don't know, Zach, what to you, what is a league?
I mean, a league to me is, like Max said, like it's a group of people that like decide to play in a certain way, whether it be pre-cons or super powerful or whatever, who are just basically, things don't happen sometimes when you become an adult unless you schedule them out. So
no doubt.
Yeah,
that's
so
like
true.
With the league, like that was the thing. It was a scheduled out every 2 weeks. We're gonna play EDH, right? Whether it be upgraded pre-cons, super powerful, whatever. And that's what a league is to me, is really like hanging out with your friends, or making the time to hang out with your friends to play Magic.
You know, and a league really does do that. And actually, it's kind of one of the reasons that I think, you know, later in the show we're going to talk about, but we're going to do a league with our patrons.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm not playing that much. And actually, like in the times of you know, this pandemic, it's really easy to just not play Magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's super easy to just kind of like get bogged down in everything. But like having this regular cadence of like, okay, you know, the league games are tonight and I'm going to get to play. And then like, I don't know, like I'm just excited about that part of it. And we did see that, right? Like you and I, Zach, when we hosted the pre-con leagues, and then we did other ones where it's like everybody picks a 2-color combination and goes from there.
Right.
And yeah, we had like the whole achievements decked out. And actually there's a link in the show notes here to a video by or actually I guess it's just to the achievements themselves, but the professor from Tulare Community College had a video about this league, and it was kind of one of the things that inspired us to do this.
Is that where the achievement cards came from?
Yep. We definitely like made our
cool.
own.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and like the fact that the professor just like threw this out there and shared it with everybody, and like we took advantage of it, and like we went kind of deep. Like at one point we had somebody had written a program where you could like hit a button and it would like generate them, and we had some like ones that we'd made of our own.
Yeah.
And like you could input the numbers and like track it that way. Like so shout out to TH for that. Like that was really awesome when we were doing that. And I miss it. I really do miss it. It gave us like a, and it was like, I don't know, we'd play like 5 or 6 sessions. So it was like a 10 to 12 week long thing that you would think about and like you would like text people about and be like, hey, what are you adding to your deck this week? Or do you have this card? I want to borrow it. Like there's this whole like community that sprang up around it, right?
It's true. I definitely remember me and you, like we had cleared off all those foils, and then we made like foil cards for all the achievements. I just remember being in your closed garage spraying this glue down.
Oh yeah.
This was pre-mask times. So we definitely like erased the foils and like print. Like you did such an awesome job on those. Oh, thanks.
But I was also gonna say here that like I've played in leagues at stores, like you talked about, Max, and that's really fun too. Oftentimes that would like show up as like you can play like 2 or 3 games per week, and those count towards the league. And then one of the ones I played in that was actually really cool was a sealed league. Like, so you started with a sealed deck, back when you could buy like sealed decks, like they came in a box, right? And then like
expert level,
you would play, and then the winner would like ante a card, or like the winner would get to take a card like you each ante a card before the game started, and then the loser signs the card and gives it to the winner, and then now the winner's card pool gets bigger. And so every week you could add and buy booster packs to add in so that you would always still have enough cards to make a deck. But it was really interesting to see like how many signed cards people had at the end of it, and like those were kind of like keepsakes, I don't know. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like trophies of your victories and your conquering.
We should do what did Lenny do? Like it's quarter commander gumball, and then we do anti cards out of our gumball decks. That would be sweet.
Hey, you know what? That kind of erases the feel bads, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Like 25 cents, I got that.
Yeah, the gumball thing is pretty interesting too. Like that's definitely something I want to explore in the future. And Max, you and I have talked about that a little bit, but we'll keep that under our hats for now.
Okay.
Wait. You talked to Ryan without me?
I did. Just once.
Okay. I was like,
it was just once.
I used my once a month pass for that.
Okay. Allowed. I'll allow it.
All right. So we've already kind of talked about some of the nice things about having a league, but I think that it's especially important, like in this time, to have this idea of like your local community, because I've kind of lost touch with a lot of the folks that we play with, right? Like we have the Thursday nights at Mothership, but I don't always get to go to those. And again, like if I don't have something like pushing me to go, it's kind of like having a buddy to go to the gym with, right? You're like, I'm going to play, right?
Also, always go with you.
That's true. That's very true. Zach and I did the walking challenge like November or whatever, and like we did that together a lot too. So yeah, you are a good gym buddy, or spotter, I guess they call it, right?
Yeah.
Is there a special term for that?
Spotter.
I think it depends on what you're doing in the gym. If you're doing weightlifting, it's a spotter. If you just literally need someone to drag you off your couch, it's your gym buddy.
What if it's the person who hands me a towel in the shower? What's that person? That's just Max. Okay.
I set myself up for that.
Yeah, you did.
I was just gonna say, just anybody can volunteer on Twitter for that.
Okay, so Zach, some of the things like that we learned about by doing these leagues, and Max, feel free to chime in with any of these. We kind of thought we might do like some do's and don'ts, because I think maybe this idea, like, I really want to give like a big shout out again to the limited resource episode, because like them talking about it inspired me. I was like, man, I need to do this, and I think our patrons would love it.
Yeah.
And so like I think that there are folks out there in audience land that could really want to do this too.
Yeah.
And so if they are going to do it, like, we thought we could like maybe pass on some of the knowledge that we've gained, because I know that I sure wanted stuff like this when we were making the league, and we kind of had to do a lot of like trials and tribulations and iterations, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh well, it's not so great.
Yeah, we'll change this or that from season to season.
I think and also I will point out, like, typically the way we did our league is we had a commissioner, and it wasn't always me. Actually, towards the end, it was really more often Zach.
Oh wow!
More than often than not, and like this person like shouldered all of the responsibility. So I guess the first thing is be kind to that person, whoever it is,
for sure.
Because it's a lot of work, but it is really rewarding, and you have to be unbiased, but like I think the first rule is schedule. Yeah, right.
Pin down that schedule. Like, spend time on it. Make sure everyone's good on it. Sometimes you have to go 3 weeks rather than 2, and that's fine. Just make sure you get the scheduling down and everyone's like down. And like sometimes people have to miss because they just have things or whatever. And
real life happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Like, there were times I was just like, I can't make it. Like, I'm not gonna stop everyone else from playing because I'm going to Timbuktu to play X-Wing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is, like, we would try to actually schedule out the entire
the whole season,
whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, because we learned that, like, if you don't do that, like, then people have stuff that come up and they're like, hey, can you move this week around?
Yeah.
And like it just becomes this like nightmare because you're trying to satisfy all of the people. And man, like at one point we had a Google form that folks could fill out, like with dates that they wanted. Like we went deep.
Is this something where you guys like actually planned out the pods? So like for all 12 weeks, did you manually create the pods, or was it just find 3 other people and count it as your game?
No,
actually, go ahead, Zach.
We for the pods, the pods would be generated at random.
Okay.
Every week. So we'd use like a deck of playing cards or something to figure it out, but it was always random.
So essentially, I know who I'm playing with before Thursday night, just in case I can't make it. I can say, hey, I'm not going to be there this week.
Oh no, we do it at like
the day of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like we would actually have everybody gather like in like one place.
Right?
Gotcha.
Like, that's right. Yeah, we did it all like at my house or like at Ryan's house or wherever.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually towards the end when we had like that site that was doing something that I mentioned earlier,
it
would do the pairings for you too.
Awesome.
And then like we would always do 2 games per session.
Yep.
And we would always try to make it to where like the pods switched up the most. And we had like this algorithm for figuring out the exact right table size. Like
of course you did.
Yeah, we did. And so it was like, okay, so like if there was 2 groups of 4, you would always like swap 2 and 2 so that like the maximum amount of change would happen for the second game. And that was something that we built in because that was something that we wanted. But there are really a ton of different ways you can do this. Like Zach said, the playing cards, like you pick out like ace through 4 in like spades and then ace through 4 in hearts. And you just like mix those all up and just have everybody take one. And that actually even like determines like seating order and like who goes first. It's pretty nice.
I just remember the craziest math thing was the thing that, so the first year we did it was the 4-color commander pre-con year, so with like Brea and like with our OG partners. And I just remember we had to pick like there were like those when there were 4 decks, right? It's like, which deck do you want? This one?
No,
this
there was 5.
Oh, there are 5? So it was like, which one do you want? And then
because we tried to make it like evenly distributed so that it wasn't like everybody just all had the Atraxa deck, right?
Yeah, which I should have gone for that one, but Brea artifacts. Also, I was anti-green at the time.
It was like some sort of like complicated mathematical algorithm.
Yeah,
like I remember like
it was like I just remember a thing. It was like this, and then it went like this, and there were like all these numbers, and I was like, that's some Ryan stuff.
Yeah, like basically like you had to like list your preference. So like Atraxa was number 1, and then Brea was number 2, and then like you listed all 5, and it tried to make the group maximally happy.
Okay.
Right. So like like if you didn't get your number 1 pick, you almost assuredly got your number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Right. So like
Interesting.
and like we also because we had like 10 people, so we're like, okay, so there's like a first set of 5 and a second set of 5. And yeah, I mean it worked out. I mean, I think some people didn't get the deck that they wanted, but you know, it really was like the most diverse it possibly could be, and it was the fairest it possibly could be. And that's something that you should learn here, which is like, yeah, be open, honest, and transparent. If you're the commissioner, like tell everybody everything and try not to play favorites and try to make the whole group happy. Because like you said, Max, not everybody is going to be happy, but you try to just
you try to do your best,
as happy as possible.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so hard, is that you know you have a faction going for one thing and a faction going for something else, and then like it's a tie, and you have to be the tiebreaker on how we do it. And it's just like, well, I'm like,
can I hide?
Yeah, I know. Here. I'm like, which one's Ryan doing? I want to do the other one.
I'm not here. I'm not here.
Flip a coin.
And yeah, like Ryan was saying, I really think the transparency is a big deal. Like they have to know that they can trust you, or at least get you to do the work, and like know that you're not going to play favorites or whatever. And I've had to settle disputes where I was just like, this is how it is. It has been decided.
Yep. Gavel. Click, and go.
Yep. So another point here is make the rules clear and explicit, and probably written down. And I know that sounds scary, but
I mean, it's like a legal contract for your EDH. You know, it's no big deal.
I mean, mostly what it is it lets everybody see them ahead of time so they can get their questions out. And like, you're going to be surprised. Like, you're going to think you put everything in those rules, and they are going to ask you a question that you are not prepared for.
They're gonna find a loophole every time.
For sure. And you know what I have to throw in here is, when the few times we've done leagues, is we spent, you know, the 4 weeks prior to a pre-con coming out, hammering out the rules and the point system and the budgets. And, you know, back then we would all go out for appetizers before EDH night. And that's when we did this. We would all sit down and, well, here's this point list I got from this site. And this is what my buddy down in, you know, Florida uses at his shop. And we would compare and create spreadsheets and kind of find the happy medium of everything people brought to the table. And you hope in the end, everybody's opinions get listened to, and everybody ends up happy with what the overall group or the commissioner decides to roll with for the league.
So
yeah, it's almost like being a game designer, right?
Yeah,
it really was. Sure. But my tangent, it's time. We should start a show called Apps in EDH, where we eat different appetizers and play EDH and get our cards greasy.
I call it mozzarella sticks.
I call it fried pickles.
I guess since I'm from Wisconsin, I have to choose cheese curds.
Yeah,
that seems right.
Yep.
Yeah,
I like it.
Well, and we'll just do it on camera. We'll just get here and like
just like right.
Okay.
Tangent aside.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I think that kind of like that's kind of the do's and don'ts, right? Like that's kind of the list of stuff. But again, the goal is fun here, right? And so and this can be hard too, by the way. Like when you're doing a league, especially if you do a competitive one with points and stuff, it really does bring out the inner spike in a lot of the folks. At least that's been my experience. And you want to be careful, right? Because now people are like, oh, well, there's a leaderboard and I want to be on the top, right? So you got to be careful, right? Well, that's why I think we're going to do casual for the patron league that we're going to do. But
like everyone's like, all of our friend group, we're all like min-maxers, right? So everyone's trying to do that. And then the other thing that came up, and this, I was personally guilty of this, not trying to win, right? I'd try to bargain for second to get those points. And that was a thing I would do.
And that's really different, right? Like that's not actually multiplayer Magic.
Yeah, exactly. No. It's just politics at that point.
And I mean, it's playing the system, really.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that's exactly what a system encourages you to do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons we stepped away from the achievements and whatnot. It's just for fun.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is like we when we did the achievements, we tried to like balance it out to where like, okay, there are achievements that you can go for that you don't have to be like super good. Like
right.
We were trying to make it like beginner friendly, and so like, oh, you know, even if you weren't going to win the game, there was like if I can cast my commander this third time, I'm gonna get a point, and like
Right.
there were all these things to encourage people to like do different things, but in the end it ended up like not being Magic. It ended up being this like weird difference.
Yeah, it was so weird. But the other weird thing was like less people seemed to be into it when we stopped being so competitive, which I thought was a little weird.
That's true, right? Like, so that's like will people show up if there's nothing on the line, right? Like, I think, you know, when you're like, oh, there's a trophy at the end,
Yeah,
and
the
like
the
you know,
Shiva
yeah, exactly,
or
right?
the Shivan,
Yeah,
my bad.
exactly. Yeah, actually, I don't know
Where's the goat, Ryan?
trophy is
Where's
right
the
now.
goat?
You know what? Should I get it?
Go
Get
get the
it.
goat.
All right, yeah. So there you go. This is the Vegas Rotisserie trophy. I think Joe made this. I'm
He
pretty
did.
sure.
Yes, he
Yes.
did.
I need to get
It
my
will
name
be
engraved
mine.
on this sucker.
No, you can leave it blank for when I win it in 2021 and or 2022.
Right. I'll be
Depending
there.
on when we can get together again.
I'll
Or
be there in
both. I'll back to
2023.
back.
Oh, man.
the repeat, the shot
Yep.
call.
Nice. That's a bold
yeah,
prediction.
So, but having a trophy is actually pretty fun.
It is.
So like if you do the competitive thing, like, and let's be honest, it's really fun to like look at spreadsheets and track numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
So like
is.
that part is really cool. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like making up a spreadsheet to do all this and like having it hosted somewhere and letting everybody like report their matches and stuff. I think it's really neat, and I'm glad that we had that experience. Again, I don't think it's what we're going to pick for the next one. It's also a lot less work,
Yeah.
if we're being
Right.
honest.
Yeah, man.
But it was fun. It was interesting. But again, it like it kind of takes away from the purity of multiplayer, because like if you were doing this for like a one-on-one kind of game, like you're like, okay, it's a brawl thing on arena, so we
Right.
only have 1v1 play. You can be as cutthroat as you want. You
Oh,
can be
for
as
sure.
competitive
Yep.
as you want, because nobody cares and there's not really a system to game there. So, you know, maybe that's the kind of league you want to do,
Well,
right? You don't have to do multiplayer, but as soon as you make multiplayer, then it gets a little dicey.
It does. I know back in around the Ixalan time, didn't WotC do like a league where you bought like so many packs
Yeah.
and you built a sealed deck, and then every so many wins you get a new pack, or so many losses you got a new pack. I know I did that at my LGS a few times, and that was fun. Like you knew you were being competitive. Everybody kind of was on an even footing because you're just opening random packs. Nobody can come in with a pre-built draft deck essentially.
Yeah,
And there was
Mothership
definitely
doing
like the
that.
hero's journey stuff from like the
Yep.
original Theros when it came out. I remember that.
I think it was called Standard Showdown is what I'm talking about.
But
Oh,
yeah,
I
I mean,
know.
like the idea of leagues is it's a very popular
It's-
one, and it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense, right? So, yeah, I don't know, like should your league be casual or competitive? This is, I think, the biggest point. Like you should
Yeah.
figure that out up front. It should be the first decision you make, and I think a lot of the other decisions kind of fall from there. For folks that want to try the competitive one, like I know I've kind of poo-pooed it a little bit this episode, but
It can still be fun.
Yeah.
doing the exercise of setting it up and going through it, and like you said, Max, like the 4 weeks of appetizers and talking strategy, and like, well, what if a player tried to abuse this thing, right? Like all of that is fun, right?
Yeah.
So it's worth doing, right?
Yeah. I definitely think if you want it to be competitive, you're going to get the people that want to be competitive. Like it's
Right.
just going to draw that crowd you want. And I think if you want to draw the casual crowd, I think it all kind of depends on the prize or the end result. You know, if you're playing for, if you're in person and doing this and you're playing at your LGS, and you want to do it for a prize, you could be like, well, it's just going to be, everybody's going to throw $5 into a kitty, and that's going to be a store credit for the champion of the league. That could be, you know, if the 20-person league, you're looking at, you know, $100, you're going to get cutthroat for $100 at store credit, you know. But if it's a random mystery pack, or, you know, a winner's going to get a booster box, but the store owner gets to decide what booster box they're going to get.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
Homelands.
Then you don't know what you're going to get. You know, I think one time we did it, and it was everybody threw in for a random booster box, and the only rule was it can't be Dragon's Maze or Journey into Nyx or Born of the Gods, because that wasn't really worth the amount of money everybody kind of put into it.
Right.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are some sets with some, I guess like
Big misses.
yeah, not the best,
EV.
yeah. There you go. That's exactly where we're going.
But,
But,
but you know what comes from Gate Crash, Ryan?
what's that?
Blind obedience.
Oh,
True.
man.
Gate Crash is great. Dragon's Maze is not.
Oh yeah, Dragon's Maze is real bad.
But okay, so I think that's kind of about the league. But I wanted to talk and hit on the rotisserie, right? Like we got the trophy right here. Like so, we did the rotisserie, and if you've been listening for a long time, you know about it. But it was very much similar to like setting up a league. Like there was a lot of like pre-effort in, and like maybe folks out there don't know this, but like we set up a mock.
Yeah, we ran a trial.
Yes.
Actually, we should say what the rotisserie was, right? Because maybe like you always have to treat like there could be a new person listening to
right,
episode, right? So
like chicken, rotisserie chicken, right?
That's
yeah. It was for the appetizer meetings.
Yeah, we drafted our meat to rotisserize.
Parmesan garlic. But no. So the rotisserie is we got 8 players together, and you picked a card, and once the card was picked, nobody else could have it. Right, so there's only one cyclonic rift in the rotisserie. There's only one counterspell. There's only one swords to plowshares, et cetera, et cetera. And same thing with commanders. And we did the draft via Twitter. Yep. Right, so it was all public for people to see. There was like this awesome spreadsheet that some of our patrons like helped pitch in and make, and it like filled out your stuff for you, and it was really awesome. And I just like that fun of like, because how many weeks did it take us to do the draft? Like 3-4 weeks.
I think it was pushing 4.
And man, that there was so much like meta fun around that. Like it was like, oh man, what's this person gonna pick? And then like, oh, if they tried to pick this one half of a combo, like would somebody else like come in and stomp on them and take the other half?
Took
like
my bloodbound out from me.
Who was that? Was that Dan Krause?
I think it was. I think he got half and I got the other half.
Yeah. So like there was this like whole meta thing, and like I remember like I would just be getting texts all the time, like, hey, it's your turn. Go quick. Make my pick. Like this happened all the time. So like doing something like a rotisserie or like a league, it could be really, really fun. And man, I don't know, like we all spent all this time together beforehand, like in the public domain, and we raised money for charity too, which was like so awesome.
Agreed.
Like man, I kind of want to do that again at some point. And we were planning on doing it this year. We were planning on doing it.
Yep.
I mean, ironically enough, when Zach and I first started talking about the boxing league, it's like, I just want to do another rotisserie since we're all quarantined. It's a perfect time to do it. We can all just, get together and be like, hey, who can play on whatever night let's draft for 4 weeks, get our cards, and then, hey, we can play VDH, on a Saturday night and let's play our game and move up the rankings,
Yeah.
And then the boxing league started. And I'm like, oh, this is probably just as fun, and let's give this a shot.
Yep.
Yeah, the idea of the boxing league actually sounds really fun. Like, and just like hearing people talk about it, like, was really awesome. I have not watched any of the streams yet. Have either of y'all checked them out?
No.
I have watched a few VODs of them, and they're fun to watch. I actually am more a fan of watching people's Twitters on how they modify their deck after each week, because it's like, well, I opened this and I made the wrong choice, and so I switched to mutate, and now my deck is rocking.
Yeah, because the thing that's cool is like it's your pool of cards, right? So like you can make any deck you want out of that pool, or even 2 decks,
multiple decks, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like I think Brian David Marshall talked on that episode about like how his original deck was Yarok the Desecrated.
Ooh.
But then he also opened Scarab God, like when he did Hour of Devastation, and he was like, well, I could switch to that. And so it's this like choose your own adventure type feeling. And that's actually something that's kind of like different about the rotisserie and the boxing league, because with the rotisserie it was all upfront decision making, and then you were just like set in stone. But with the boxing league, it starts off like small and kind of grows, and I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that we're going to do something similar for our patrons, right? So we are going to run a Commander Legends sealed league, right? So it's not a boxing league, and we did talk about doing that, but it's also really expensive to like open a box of cards and add 6 packs every week. Like there's a lot there, so I kind of want to make it inclusive, but also I just like the idea of the fact that Commander Legends was this set that's like meant to be drafted, and I don't think there's a chance that I'm going to be drafting it much anytime soon.
No,
right?
Sad face.
I want to get a box and just save it and have those draft experiences later. But then, when I was listening to this episode of Limited Resources, like, if we do this with Commander Legends, like, we actually have a reason to buy the cards, which I always like reasons to buy Magic cards.
Yeah.
And then like we're gonna get that experience of like building the pool over time, and like, oh, I opened enough red cards, I can switch into red, and like and it's an excuse to play Magic, and we're gonna get a limited environment feel. That like it's not the same as draft, but it's sealed, right? So it's close. And then I thought like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if like I streamed opening my packs and building my deck? Like I think people would watch that. I would watch that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I know, like, who is it? I don't know. There's a streamer that does like building a deck together on stream, and I think that would be something cool to do.
Yeah, and so I don't know. Like I'm really excited about this idea, and I like seriously, folks out there that are patrons, like it's so amazing that we get to do this with you, right? Like
Yeah.
we have this group of people that are awesome, that we know are cool, that are like ready and open. Like I think I posted something about it in our Slack, and like within a minute, two people would probably be like, yes, let's do
Yeah.
it.
We're in.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's so cool that we have like this community that we can participate in and like do these fun things with. And so I think that's like one of the takeaways I want folks that are listening at home is that like you could make this happen, right? Like you can find a Discord out there through your local game store and get people together, but it does take like that commissioner mentality, and that can be hard, right?
Yeah.
But like, for example, Zach, like I kind of want to ask you this. Like when I approached you about doing the commissioner thing, it was because like I was like with two small children and was like, man, I can't do this, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how that happened. And I think that you had some trepidation at first, right? Like I think you were like, oh.
Yeah, like I was really scared at first. Like it's kind of like when I was like starting the podcast, I was like really nervous too. But I was like, well, I'm the kind of person that's like, well, something needs to be done, and Ryan's asking me to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Like because I also know like the fun of however many people were in the league at that time rests on having a commissioner, right? Including my own. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And we definitely had there was some stuff that happened where we had to like figure things out. And it was like a pod thing or something. I don't even remember, but it was just people were always asking me questions. And like every day I was spending like maybe 30 minutes answering emails, or updating some sort of spreadsheet or something. And it was fun. And the thing is like, if you want to do this and you want to be a commissioner, like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's really nothing to be scared of. In the end, you're with your friends, right? And your friends are going to respect you, hopefully. And, it'll all work out. And again, our league went through several different rules iterations and things. So maybe
it changed every time.
Yeah.
It changed every single time.
Maybe you're not going to get it right the first time or the best the first time, but just keep trying, I think.
Yeah, and so thanks for answering that, because I know that wasn't in the show notes, but like I wanted to use that as like an inspirational story for the folks at home. Like if you think that you can't do this, you 100% can.
You totally can.
Right? And like it's worth doing. That's the other piece. Like it's worth doing. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a good spot. All right, so that's our show for this week. Thank you so much for everybody like sticking around and listening. We just wanted to like make sure folks, the takeaways are leagues are awesome. They're fun.
Absolutely.
It's worth doing.
It's work. It's work, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. And then, to the folks at home, have you ever participated in a league? Like, did you learn any lessons? We would love for you to share that with us. A good league or a bad league. We can learn from either one of them. So definitely hit us up on Twitter. And then, are you thinking about doing one of these now that you've heard us talk about it? And are you as excited about Commander Legends as I am, as we are? Right? Like it's a reason to do a league, and it comes out early November, so you still have time. By the time this episode airs, you can put it all together. You could spend those 4 weeks going and having appetizers, right? Like that could definitely happen.
Socially distanced appetizers.
Yes, socially distanced appetizers.
So this week we have a strange segment that's here 2 weeks in a row, and it's called
Zack gets it together.
For these, I learned I had to write 100 times on a chalkboard. I will not cast board wipes when Revel and Riches is in play. Last night on EDH cast, somebody had a Revel and Riches out, and I was like, man, there's so many creatures. I was like, I gotta do something about this. I was like, I was like, Supreme Verdict. And they were like, Matt wins just automatically if you do this. And I was like, well, will y'all let me take it back?
Yeah, and he actually had like Taste of Karlov in play too, right? So like every creature that died was like 2 treasures, right?
Double treasures.
Yeah. It would have been ridiculous. But
Ooh.
yeah, I'm trying to learn my lesson that I gotta not cast board wipes when someone's got Revel and Riches in play.
I think I have a life hack for this, Zach. Are you ready for it?
Read cards.
No. Well, okay, yeah, definitely.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, okay. So somebody casts Revel in Riches, right? And then if you're holding a board wipe, you just take it out of your hand and set it down over here on the playmat and forget that you have it.
Wait, no, I tap my mana and then I lay it in the middle of the area. Is that what I'm supposed to
Yes,
do?
that is exactly what you're supposed to do.
Okay. I think I got
just
this.
set it down, face down. Like I'll come back to this later if Revel and Riches ever leaves the play. Now that doesn't help if you draw a board wipe later, but I don't know.
You just have a board wipe pile.
I mean,
Zach, there's 3 extra cards. Oh, they're board wipes. Don't worry about it.
They're dead cards right now. That's all they are.
Exactly.
All right, and we again want to thank our local game store, The Mothership. Their website is store.mothershipatx.com, and you can use the codes SOCIALSHIP in all capitals to get free shipping off orders of $50 or more, and SOCIAL10 in all capitals to get 10% off in-stock MTG singles.
You can check us out at commandersocial.com.
If you want to see our videos on YouTube, you can find us at youtube.com/commandersocial.
We have a Patreon, and it's patreon.com/commandersocial.
You can email us directly at cast@commandersocial.com, or on Instagram, you can find us at instagram.com/commandersocial.
We are on Twitter together at commandersocial, and individually on Twitter, I'm at Green Geek.
And individually, I'm at Z4CK38.
Oh, yeah. So that brings it to the for really real end of the show. I just want to thank Max for coming on. We really appreciate you, dude, and it was great having you. And where can our listeners find you if they don't know already?
Again, you can find me on Twitter at CMDR_Central_Max. You can hit up the show at CMDR Central. And I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for inviting me back. This was great. Get to do it virtually versus in the GP Zach's house like earlier this year. But
yeah,
this was a blast, and hope to be welcomed back in the future.
Oh yeah,
thanks
man.
again for
Anytime,
coming, Max. And,
for sure.
I'll keep this trophy for you.
So again, thanks to our listeners for making it to the end. We really appreciate it. And until next week, this is Zach.
And this is Ryan.
And I'm Max.
Saying keep it social.